It is for after. Hello, folks. We will officially call it started. So, welcome to another Kubernetes SIG Security. I am Tabitha Sable. I am one of the co-chairs, and I'm glad that I get to help us make this space for ourselves and each other to improve the security of Kubernetes together.
Hi, I can't find the cord for my webcam. My name is Ian Coldwater, pronouns they, them. I am Tabby's co-chair here at Kubernetes SIG Security, and I am super happy to be helping make this space with all of you. Hack the planet. For the new folks, we don't call them people, you just get to
Yeah,
speak.
just jump in, which helps to encourage people to jump in during other times of the conversation as well.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Pushkar, pronouns he, him. I am SIG security tooling lead and also tax security co-chair here to make Kubernetes more secure with everyone.
And peel oranges.
Hey everyone, Ian Smart, agent of chaos at Control Plane here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chad Kroll. I'm a platform engineer at Sivo. Thank you for having me. Pronouns he, him.
It's great to have you. Thank you for coming.
Hey, I'm Vinayak. I work at Google in Kubernetes security. Nice
Always
meet
great to
everyone.
see you.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Keegan Justice. I'm at GuidePoint Security as a senior cloud security automation engineer, and this is my first time attending this meeting. I learned about SIGs at the Cloud Native Conference, SecurityCon in Seattle a few weeks ago, and
Awesome.
really excited.
Welcome. Great to have
Welcome.
you.
It's great to have you.
Yeah.
Massive shout out to Ray for introducing all the people in the conference to SIG security as part of his keynote session. It was really nice. He covered all the different sub projects of SIG security. Nice to see some of the issues that we have in SIG security show up as screenshots there. And then obviously the main focus was third-party security audit, which he played such a massive role in. So thanks to him, now we have Keegan here.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sorry that I missed it, but I'm glad to hear that that the love is out there in the world.
Yeah, there is
So-
always YouTube, so soon enough.
There is always
YouTube.
YouTube. We'll have to check that out. Actually, is anybody for their own reasons like closely monitoring when those recordings come out? Would you
I'm not
be so
seeing them
kind
yet.
as to put a link in the notes doc,
Yeah.
like once you see them and like we can
Yes.
shout it out?
Yes, that's the plan.
Thank you so much. So as we do, oh, Ray is here. Hello, Ray. We were just saying kind things about you while you weren't here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
So Pushkar has asked that we jump into tooling first. So as we do, we'll hear about some of what's been happening in sub-projects, and we will start with tooling this time. Hit us, Pushkar.
Yes, thank you so much. I need to finish early, so this will be good for me to cover first, unlike the usual sequence. So first of all, tooling is a sub-project in SIG security. We make Kubernetes more secure by writing code that is community maintained with all the other SIGs. We meet every 2 weeks. Mondays, 9 a.m. Pacific, and we have a lot going on. So it's been mostly working sessions in the last few times we have met. So with that in mind, I have actually 3 big updates which happened since we last met. So first is the adoption of our very own first adopted SIG security sponsored GitHub repo is now complete. So I'm really, really happy about that. Thank you so much to all the folks from GitHub management admins who took care of migrating it. Thanks to Aqua Security folks who are now also active contributors to that new repository. This is going to really help us make all the CVEs of Kubernetes that are announced and will be announced more accessible for everyone through OSV formatted JSONs. And we will hopefully make the life of security response committee slightly easier with that as well. So thank you so much for everyone who made it happen.
SRC hat on, we are always grateful for anything that makes our lives easier.
Yes, can imagine that. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone. Thank you to Rita also for making this connection between me and Aqua folks, and then that allowed us to get this done. We just started this discussion in KubeCon of last year, so it's been almost 7 months. So just like all the other things in Kubernetes, we went slow and steady, but we are here, and now we have something nice. So that's really good. Uh, any questions you have, feel free to reach out on SIG security tooling. We will expect a lot of updates to the repo as well in the coming weeks. So happy for you all to contribute to it, ask questions. Anything you missed that needs fixing, please go ahead and open PRs or add a Slack message or open an issue. I have posted the links in the notes as well for the new repository. So that's one update.
May I
Now the
ask a
next,
quick question about that update?
yes, yes.
Are there any things that you need from chairs for administrative support there? Like, are y'all well situated with owners' files and such like that in that repo so that you can go ahead and make your improvements?
Yeah, so I think we are good on that front right now. The owners are set in a way where it can be self-sustaining. So I'm just looking at the approvers list. It's you, me, Ian, and I think one of the Aqua folks as approvers. And then we have another contributor who is also contributing. So in general, I think we have enough coverage where they can do the things that they know and are comfortable doing themselves. And we get
And
to,
also we can help them with things where it may turn out that help is needed. Okay, that's wonderful.
yeah,
I'm glad to hear that. Do we need to do like a README update or something so that it is getting linked out from there?
so the GitHub admins actually did the update in the community repo,
Oh,
calling this.
okay, that's very kind
Yes.
of them. A
So
plus.
I'm gonna check that one more time after the meeting, but they added a sub project. They added this repo under SIG security tooling sub project. So as a result of that, it's there. And I think, yeah, so it's accessible for folks and people know like where this belongs to.
Oh, that's wonderful. All right, let me get out of your way.
Yeah, no, this is good. These are good questions, and I'm glad you're asking them. There is also a label in the repo that calls out kates.sig-security. So for anyone just looking at the repository, they know which SIG this belongs to as well. So it's really nice. But yeah, so we'll see how things are going. And the this is also one of the big prerequisites for us to graduate our CVE feed. So now that this is done, we can continue to make more progress there. All right, so switching tracks, we basically work on two different categories of things. One is the related to CVE feed announced by SRC, and the second is managing vulnerabilities of dependencies of Kubernetes. So that's the second track, and the next two updates are on that. So we've been experimenting with Go Check, which is a native Golang tool, uh, who actually presented to us a couple of years back when they were experimenting with it. And now it's available, it's GA since about last 4 or 5 months almost, and they have a 1.0 release. So we adopted it to run now on all the pull requests of Kubernetes. So anytime somebody is adding or removing a dependency, people who review the PRs can go check if this is going to create a new CVE because of a new dependency for Kubernetes, whether this is something we want to use or not use. And then this is also now running on all the release branches as well as at the top of the head. So this is the new improvement. in terms of running it on all 3 release branches. It will auto cascade as new releases happen as well. So we don't have to keep modifying which release we are actually supporting. So that's really nice. So just want to call that out, that that part is now done. Thank you mainly to Arko Sa, who really contributed a bunch of work on this and made this happen. I have linked an issue there as well, which has links to all the jobs, proud jobs links, and all the things and all the PRs that made this happen. So this is great. I'm really happy this exists now, and we are able to essentially get better signals sometimes when an end user or somebody who is dependent on us for confirming whether a Kubernetes related CVE for a dependency is relevant to Kubernetes or not. And that's been really good. Uh, so that's one update. And then very soon after that, while I was at Cloud Native Security Con, people were like, oh, I didn't know Go One Check is already running on so many different things. Can we do this as well? And that particular this was something called VEX. So if folks aren't familiar, VEX is a vulnerability exploitability, what is it called? Exchange, I think. So let me see.
How vexing?
Say that again.
So how vexing? I'm just being silly. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's basically vulnerability exploitability exchange, short VEX. That's right. And that is now supported through OpenVex in Go One Check 112. And it's like Ray said, it's SBOM's best friend. So it really allows us to confirm any CVE in an SBOM is actually vulnerable or not as maintainers, because we know our code and we know which vulnerabilities really impact us or not. So this has now been supported in Go One Check. And I was curious on a train ride back from Seattle, if we run this with Go One Check, what happens for Kubernetes? And I opened an issue, gave some suggestions there. It's linked there. Uh, and basically what we found, maybe I can share screen if we have a couple of minutes.
Yeah, let me make
Invite
you
to,
a co-moderator or whatever it is so that you can share screen. There you go.
yeah,
For a goose like
because
you,
there is sorry, go ahead.
For a goose like you, anything.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because there is a lot of shared context, and I feel like it will probably be good if you are not seeing my face and looking at actual code that's written there. So
Well, like the first thing that I was thinking was, is Puerco on that issue yet? Because I assume
yes,
he
yes,
is.
yes. So okay, let me start sharing. Oh, okay, there you go. All right. Yeah,
For
I think
context
this
on
is
that comment, Puerco is a extremely prolific release team contributor who does a lot of really great work around the vulnerability publishing stuff on the build side of things.
and for
yes,
context, for
and
a goose like you, anything that was from Tabby's fabulous KubeCon talk a few years ago.
yeah, yeah, and also he's a OpenVex maintainer, so this was like really up in his wheelhouse. So yeah, so this is the issue I created. Hope everyone can see it. Uh, we have had a lot of requests from end users who expect us to tell them whether their scanners are correct or not. And as a result, 66 architecture ended up actually updating the cherry pick policy, saying that dependency update just to aim to silence the scanners and that do not fix any vulnerable code are not eligible for cherry picks. So this was added just to make sure like people are aware, like we are not just going to cherry pick because the scanners are saying like this is vulnerable when it's not. So this has been a pain point for everyone, and I felt like OpenVex with documents would actually help here. Uh, so we have had some examples. You can go and look at here of what I'm talking about. And then I thought these would be some requirements that we could apply and implement, and eventually we'll have to host it somewhere. So overall, after I added this, I shared it with some folks, and people were excited about it in Slacks and also on GitHub issues. So this is the more juicy part I wanted to share. So I ran this on KK master on this specific commit, and then after that, I found that Go one check by default is saying there are only 2 out of 153 CVs that are marked as affected according to Go one check, which is great. Like this is what, less than 5%.
Because this like uses the compiler's knowledge of code paths that get touched, right? Like because
Yeah.
the compiler has to know all those things to do the compilation, and so then govulncheck gets in there in that stage where it can really find out the details.
Yes, yes, exactly. And it is called, I think there is now a buzzword for this, which is called reachability analysis, but it's
Yep.
basically what you said. Uh, and they do that. There are a lot of details about it. So 2 out of 153 is great, but then I was curious, what are these two? So I looked at them and I found that, oh, it's this CV and this CV. So after that, I kept looking through GitHub issues, which is the best part of open source. All the questions are available in public and all the answers are as well. So then I saw Dims commenting, creating an issue here saying, hey, Kubernetes is go one check results are showing that this is vulnerable. But for HCD, we don't think this is really relevant. So can you please remove this because this is not really relevant and it's just giving information that's not really useful. So then vulnerability team is now working on this, and then they give some updates there, so we can go there. So essentially, this is contentious and probably not relevant. That there was second one, which was a bit hard to find in terms of impact, but I came across a comment here which basically said that if you go through all these comments, we found out that this is actually not impacted by for Kubernetes. And SIG auth confirmed it, and there were other maintainers as well who confirmed it. So this is the specific one. It does not impact Kube at all because we have no code path that uses JWE. And in order to update the tape, there are a lot of changes. So people have been reluctant to do it. So this essentially, like, I'm probably going too deep, but this essentially allowed us to realize that we cannot rely solely on Go one check output. We will have to modify that output somehow to confirm that, okay, the two that are remaining are also not affected. And this is the reason why. So this is the next part that we all have to figure out how to do it. I made some suggestions there. I was hoping some of the release management managers would show up today, but looks like they couldn't make it. But there is a lot of support here in terms of making this happen. I have some ideas as well. If you are interested, let's catch up in the next SIG security tooling meeting. We can explore like possible options. One question for the group with all of this information dump is, does this warrant a cap, or is this something we can just drive consensus without a cap? So that with that, I'll stop sharing and open for questions.
I don't have a question and I don't want to derail the cap thing, but I just want to say amazing work. Like this is awesome. Like great work, Wishkar. Like, yeah, that's all I want to say.
Thank you. I really love train rides for exactly this reason.
I really want somebody else to say something about the kept question before I do because I worry about putting my thumb on the scale.
Yeah, I am so glad. So this is one example of a leader being self-aware of their privilege and not opening their mouth. So this is something really to learn from. So thank you for being you, David.
All right.
Well, hold up. We have other leaders
We,
in here. Do any of those folks have anything that they want to say? Because I do want to hold space for them.
Yeah, I was actually going to put a link to in the K enhancements repo. There's actually like they have some content like what should be a cap. And so that's something that we could always refer to as well and help guide us. But I do have some thoughts on this. It's but I want to spend more cycles before it actually and have my thoughts more formulates and before I could actually have a good input into what if this is a cap or not. So
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. This is a lot of information, so yeah, definitely worth digesting it.
Kaylin, do you have thoughts on it? I'm putting you on the spot.
No, no thoughts at the moment.
Fair enough. All right, Tabby. I'll quit bugging you.
okay, so very senior engineer stereotype hat on with only moderate apologies. It depends. Like, this feels like it could be a good thing for a cap, but also like you can definitely do it outside of the cap process depending on how the discussions around what you want to do with it goes. So that's my advice there, is to continue having the discussions about what could be done, what you want to do, with the question in mind of like, does this now feel like we should definitely make a cap in order to get the additional awareness around the rest of Kubernetes onto it? Or does it feel like something that is a little incremental improvement to what is already existing? And like, there are documentation which Ray has pointed out, and like, review that and make sure that make sure that what you're doing makes sense with the documentation. But like, that's kind of the advice that I have for you, is think about, does using the KEP process as a tool to ensure that you are bringing in the amount of other awareness that you need make sense? And if it does, KEP.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's definitely a toss-up, like you said, and depending on the consensus we are getting, if it's very easy consensus, maybe just like we keep doing the work and see how far we go until we really need a discussion. I will keep working and keep updating folks so people are not blindsided based on progress. And if they're like, oh no, we could do it this way, we could do it that way, then it's like feels like a clear situation where a kept discussion would be worth to slow down a little bit of all of this because we want to nail the design correctly. But yeah, I think with that, I know I have to drop in 2 minutes. If you want to chat more about this, let's meet in the next SIG security tooling meeting. I think it should be the upcoming Monday. Let's discuss more. There are a lot of things we could do to make this work. None of it is like super hard, and we can break it down into different subtasks as well. So you will get some bite-sized things to work on. Uh, and the other thing, Tabby, and just confirming, is it okay if I announce on the thread we have for the migration or adoption of the Aqua Security repo on the SIG security mailing list, to just reply there and say like, hey, this is done and this is where now the new repo exists?
Please
Yeah.
do so, and I recommend that you feel proud of yourself while you do.
Yes, that.
All right, sounds good. I will try my best. With that, I'll have to drop, but Slack me if you have anyone has any questions. And I will see you all next time. In couple of
Cheers, thank
weeks.
you.
All right, bye.
All right. So, any further thoughts, questions, discussion topics around tooling? Modulo the fact that Pushkar just invited us to get at him on Slack. Well, going back to the top of the list of sub-projects, Ray, please tell us what's going on with audit these days.
Folks, so the audit sub project helps run regular third-party security audits. So there's an open. Last time I was on this call, we discussed about having an issue template for folks that want to add their focus area or specific area in Kubernetes to the audit roadmap, which means that it will be added in a future audit. And with this audit issue template, we will send this out to the leads list to all Kubernetes SIG leads and sub-project leads and tech leads to ask to request if there's any interest to be in scope for this audit. I do want to make the caveat in the email that it doesn't guarantee that's going to be in scope of this audit, but at least have it in the audit roadmap. I'll also add in these specific focus areas I've already reached out to the audit sub project either this year or since the last audit, like Cluster API. I have a list on the agenda. Cluster API, Windows nodes, connectivity, a few other things there as well. So I just want to state that those areas have already shown interest. And so that's going to be a to-do once the issue template is created. It's to send out an email to the leads, to all SIG leads and co-chairs and sub-project leads. Our target to have this done, of course, is by the end of the year. But of course, that's our goal for this. But the actual audit itself will be about a month. But of course, there's an RFP process as well. There is already a draft for the RFP already started by Allstiff, and that just has what the focus areas that have shown interest to be in the audit. And for what's new for this time around is I want to request a liaison, right? An SRC liaison, like a single point of contact with the SRC for post-audit things. So of course, the audit goes to the SRC first, and before any publication has to go under review. So what I was thinking about is sending an email to the SRC and of course announcing the audit, and then requesting a liaison for a single point of contact in the SRC.
I was just about to volunteer in the notes doc to do that via the SRC Slack channel because I am a member of the SRC, but actually your plan is better. Please do it.
All right. Thank you very much. And then that's it for me. I'll take any comments or questions, but I do have to drop right after this.
I'm looking at the PR for the issue template. How confident do you feel about it? Or like, to put it another way, would you prefer me to /LGTM or /approve it? Because if I /approve it, then the first person who LGTMs it will make it merge. So like, if you feel really good about it, I will /approve it, and then somebody else can LGTM it and it'll go.
Yeah, I feel confident about it because we did review it, the questions on the last sub project meeting. So, yep.
I put a /approve on it.
Does anything need to be done with issue automation or anything around those issues once they are created from the templates? This is more of an open question about how the GitHub automation works than this in particular.
Yeah, I'm assuming, yeah, we do need to add some automation in terms of assignment. There's not a label. I thought about creating a label for a third-party audit topics as well. So that is possibly an issue as well, or something that can be done. And have done the work to create a label. So this is not too difficult. So we can always create a label and create some kind of automation once an issue is created to announce to or CC the sub-project group. We have I know we have a Google group for the sub project, but I don't think we have a GitHub group for the sub project. But it could CC like the SIG security leads or a person in the owners, the people in the owners file or in the Bright owners
Yeah,
file.
well, and if you want a GitHub group for the sub project, then literally just ask the people. There are 3 of us on this call who have promised to do that. So like, just ask us, and we'll be happy to make that happen too.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. That might be something, but let me put some cycles on it if you need a GitHub group, because it's one more thing to maintain. So
Any further thoughts, questions, discussion topics around progress in third-party audit? All right, so next thing on the list, thank you so much, Ray. Next sub-project on the list is SIG security docs. Would anyone like to read out on behalf of docs?
I definitely have.
Take a shot at it, but
Thank you.
there's not much update, so it's easy this time. A quick intro. The SIG Security Docs sub-project is a sub-project of SIG Security where folks help in writing documentation to improve security for developers and Kubernetes administrators. We are currently working on different kinds of guides on improving security for developers and administrators, and security hardening guides as well. So that's a quick intro. I think there was some discussions done on some of the ongoing works in the last meeting. I am currently working on them, but I have been slacking off for the past couple of weeks. So thanks, Tabitha, for that amazing feedback that you gave. I have been going over that again and again, and I think I'm still learning a lot out of those few comments. So I'll get back to the scheduler hardening guide and update it. And once I have that, I'll post it back on Slack.
This is a nit, but what you just described does not sound like slacking off to me. I will say thank you for the ongoing work that you have been doing.
Yeah, you're welcome. Very much appreciate doing it. As I said, I'm learning on the go, so this is fun.
That is how we do around here.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Any further thoughts, questions, discussion topics around the ongoing work in docs?
I guess the only thing maybe worth mentioning, I think, Keegan, you asked a question about, is there any recommended resources for security configurations? One of the things that security docs have done some excellent work on lately is hardening guides. So this is probably a good point to mention them, which I don't know if anyone has the link more handy than I do.
Try to fetch it and post it on Slack.
Thank you. I will just make a meta comment there. The great thing about secure configuration guidance is there are so many secure configuration guidances that you can choose, but that is itself a kind of a problem of complexity. And so that is sort of the problem space into which the hardening guides that the SIG security docs folks are working on are going. It's like there are so many configuration standards that you could choose, and they're all extremely complicated and detailed, but like if you don't know yet what you want or need, the complexity of those standards is itself an intimidating sort of problem. And so the hardening guide work that is coming out of SIG security docs is like a little more high level than that. It's like more, these are things that you need to consider about your environment, and then hopefully those can help make an informed choice about, do you want to go to the CIS benchmark and follow every bit of it, for example, or are some parts of it not suitable for you, that sort of thing.
And that's in process right now, the official SIG hardening guide, or is it?
Yeah, that has been one of the long-standing work projects that they are doing.
Yeah.
The scope of it is ostensibly gigantic, and so they have broken it down into like different subject areas, and a couple of those subject areas have guides that are complete. Another couple have work in progress, and in general, it is a thing where we are learning and doing together, because so much of Kubernetes security is about taking the complexity of your specific environment and all of the knobs and buttons that are available in Kubernetes and like figuring out how to meet those things together. And so it's about having discussions, and it's about generating an understanding together. So that's hopefully somewhat helpful.
I've just dropped a link for the concept security page as well on Kubernetes docs. The security checklist is a fairly good resource in there. Although is it a couple of years old now, I think. And the RBAC best practices guide, the role-based access control good practices is an excellent read for people who want to learn how easily RBAC can go wrong as well, although it's a bit more specific.
Thank you. This is exactly what I was looking for. And what's your opinion of a CIS benchmark for K8s? Is it like overkill? Doesn't go far enough?
They're good guidelines in typical Pirates of the Caribbean Pirates Law style. Personally, I think you're always going to find times when generic best practice advice doesn't mesh with reality. I know I really don't like auditors who say, oh, you've got a CIS fail because some application hasn't implemented a health check, therefore you're not allowed to go live. There's a lot of good work in them. I think they have issues as well, though. It's my personal thoughts.
Okay.
A very long time ago, it used to actually be impossible to get 100% score on the CIS benchmarks of Kubernetes, like a long time ago. And that's not the case anymore. But you know, it's, to my knowledge, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But nowadays there are more specific and more granular benchmarks for that. So like if you're on a specific cloud provider, there are kind of ones that are specific to the setups that you've got. And they've improved a lot.
Okay, that's helpful too.
Yeah, my opinion about that is that if you go through the CIS benchmark for your environment, and for each of the controls, you are able to say why you comply with it or why you choose not to, then that is a sign that you have understood your environment and your needs well enough that you can feel confident about where you are and your own ability to make a roadmap for what improvements you might need. So like, I like it a lot as a sort of a thing to argue against, you know, like as a sort of improving your security posture sparring partner. Like, for the most part, the things that are in it are good, and many of them are very broadly applicable, but also, even if you don't agree with or adopt everything in it, if you can say why you do or don't agree with or adopt the things in it, that is a really good sign that you are understanding your environment well and are prepared to take good care of it.
Okay, no, that's helpful.
any further thoughts, questions, discussion, topics around SIG security docs? All right, so SIG security self-assessments, I will read out on their behalf, is a lightweight guided self-threat modeling service within Kubernetes to work with other parts of Kubernetes to understand their own code better and be able to develop a roadmap for what needs to be done and what is currently really good. That subproject is in the process of finding new leads, and so shout out to folks who have volunteered for that and their patience with the internal discussions related to that. Currently, they have been working with SIG etcd on threat modeling etcd, and the progress on that assessment is currently paused for staffing. So that is the current state of things, and if you want to be involved with that, then you get a hold of Ala Dewberry, get a hold of myself and Ian and Kaylin on Kubernetes Slack, because there are definitely places where contributions are welcome. Getting into topics that folks have put on the agenda, there is a link to an issue here about Git repo. Whose thing is this? Let's hear what's on your mind.
I don't know who put this on, but I know I've been speaking to Rory McCune about this a fair bit over the last couple of days. Did whoever put this in the agenda, are they still on the call?
It appears not, but I have also been thinking about this issue, so please tell us what's on your mind, Ian.
Yeah, so this issue is basically an implementation of a vulnerability in Git, effectively. And as far as I can tell from speaking to Rory, it boils down to the fact that the Git repo volume type just pipes whatever you give it directly to Git on the nodes. So you can craft a malicious Git repo, which when cloned onto the relevant node, you can get command execution as the user that does the cloning, which is generally, I think it runs directly as the kubelet as root. Basically, it's remote code execution as root on the node of whatever cluster you can create the volume on. One of the big concerns that's come out of this is pod security standard baseline doesn't actually block creation of Git repo. And I believe at least 2 of the big 3 cloud providers and 2 or 3 of the other managed distributions that I've checked lately include Git on the nodes or require Git to function. So this is basically it's not quite a bypass of pod security standards. That would be an incorrect, because it's a thing that the standards aren't checking for. But effectively, if you've got pod create permissions, you can get root on the underlying nodes if they've got the Git repo volume type enabled. I think this has been triaged as, and Tabby, you'll know better than I will at this, but I think it's been triaged and said removing of the volume type is happening. And there's going to be a docs update.
Yeah, I have a vague understanding of that. There have been discussions, and I'm being a little close-lipped about them because I don't remember whether they were public or private discussions, but I know that there have been discussions about deprecating Git repo and removing Git repo. I'm not sure about the current status of doing that, but I am quite pleased to hop on this issue and say +1 to getting rid of Git repo, and huge +1 to forbidding the use of Git repo in baseline. Because whether or not we get rid of Git repo, it is a strange and dangerous thing. And we have a name for the standard that allows strange and dangerous things. It's called privileged.
I mean,
Come on, somebody wants to talk smack about Git repo volumes. Well, there's an issue link there, and it is in the notes now. And in the meantime, consider the possibility if you run Kubernetes at work, whether you want to allow Git repo in your environment. Thank you. Thank you, Ian. And you're probably right. I bet Rory put the... Oh, no. I think Vignac put this on there because he's also the person who opened the issue, but unfortunately he had to drop. Any further thoughts, questions, discussion topics, or smack talk about Git repo?
I think just another +1 to the fact that it's slightly hilarious that the Git repo was basically just going, hey, Git, you deal with this. And it's not really a surprise that problems have come from that.
Well, and it feels like a very old-timey Kubernetes sort of thing where it's like, there is a reasonable use case for this, probably one of the early adopters. Probably even before there was such a thing as init container, was like, what I need is an init container that does a git clone onto an empty dir volume, but like probably init containers didn't even exist yet, and so therefore, here you go. But now you could make an init container that does a git clone onto an empty dir volume.
I guess there's another question about CVEs. Is this the sort of thing that could have, should have, would have, might have a CVE allocated?
There are CVEs related to Git repo volume handling.
Right. Cool. I just hadn't seen a specific one here. That makes sense.
Yeah, like look through the CVE feed because I don't remember the details offhand, but like there have definitely been CVEs issued for things that go bump in the Git repo volume handler code.
Yep.
But whether those CVEs specifically address the specific concerns that are like in this blog post, I don't know.
Yep.
Offhand. I will make a quick comment. I'm the one who put the next thing on here. I think it would be good to copy a bunch of the old notes into some markdown files or text files and stick them into Git and then trim off the tail end of the doc so that way the Google Doc can continue to be snappy for people when they load it. So any particular thoughts on that? I'm willing to do so myself, or if somebody else wants to do it, it could be a nice housekeeping task. I'm happy to do that. I'll file an issue on SIG security just as a keeping track of it as a known to-do item. Does anybody have opinions on sticking those notes into K community under SIG security versus sticking them into our repo on SIG security?
what would be the advantage of doing that?
They should go in whichever one feels more appropriate or more discoverable for people.
I don't think most people look on K community /sig whatever.
Well, that sounds like an argument in favor of putting it into K/SIG security.
That's sort of the argument I'm making. I could be wrong. It's possible that everybody always looks at K community /sig security, and I'm just incorrect on that. But to me, I think that schema is slightly confusing for a lot of people, and it's probably not the first place most people look. Somebody please, back me up or tell me I'm wrong on that, because this is conjecture on my part.
I know I go to SIG security, not community SIG security first.
I suspect most people probably do.
All right. Well, I will make an issue about that so that way it is publicly known to be a to-do list item. Keegan, we have now arrived at the thing that you put on the agenda. We have previously done some discussion of that. How are you feeling about that? Do we have further thoughts, questions, discussion topics around that?
I think we covered it pretty well earlier. I mean, I'm at a consulting firm, and I'm leading the K8's security cloud native practice, and so I'm trying to build out the practice and give our list of recommendations to customers. So you'll probably see me again in quite a few of these SIGs, and I'm a little bit busy right now, but in a month or two, I could probably start contributing to the community, and I can volunteer.
Well, I mean, we are grateful to have you. Like, I am especially grateful to have folks who are or have a history in consulting, because there is a danger in a big project like this of having the maintainers like slowly move into an ivory tower without realizing that they have done so. And so continuing to hear from folks who are doing consulting helps to keep a realistic understanding of what is it like in end user organizations that are small enough they don't have a huge base of Kubernetes expertise in-house, and they have to ask consultants to help with it. So thank you so much for coming around, and definitely looking forward to seeing you whenever you can join us.
Thank you.
Just super quickly, SIG Storage have just said in the last few minutes that the deprecation of the Git storage was basically just forgotten about, it looks like, and they are looking to deprecate and remove it in either this release or the next. But they must have the meeting the same time as we do.
Ta-da!
There we go.
Well, we have gone through all of the things that were on the list. We have a wee bit of time before we have to swap off of the scheduler. So, are there any other thoughts, questions, or discussion topics that folks would like to bring up while we are here together?
Peg vault?
That was my question. You made a gesture. Does that mean you have a thing and you were waiting, or?
No, I was making the same face that Kaylin was with the finger.
Well,
I'm multitasking poorly.
Understood.
Fair. Well then, like a Go program that has reached the end of its main function, we are about to return. Last chance. We've got the add exit handler. If there is anything else that anybody would like to bring up while we are here, otherwise, I will declare us to be successful at what we set out to achieve.
Surely, if you're just going to keep making this more elaborate and sillier, then it exits at 1 or whatever, right?
I mean, I think we would probably return 254 in those cases where we have to cut off for time, but I would like to return 0 if we can.
I was about to say, I like to think you've got different exit codes depending on how the meetings end.
There you go.
All right. Thank you all so much. We have achieved together what we set out to do, which is share our context and support each other in making Kubernetes more secure together. Thank you all so much. And a reminder that channel SIG security on Kubernetes Slack is open 24 hours a day.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Thank you.